Maseches Bava Metzia Daf Lamed Amud Aleph. We speak. The issue here is how a person should look after the Aveda, how a person should maintain the Aveda, how a person should look after an item that he found in the street. Says the Gemara, if a person found a garment, the person may lishtoach, which means the person may spread it out in order that the garment should, be to refresh it, to air it out, so it doesn't get moldy, doesn't get, something like that. Avaloi lichvoidoi. But when you do that, don't do it for your own needs, for your own thing. Just do it for the beged and not for yourself. Okay? So now, frag the Gemara. No. Iboilu, question. Iboilu, letzol koi veletzol ko mai. What would be the halacha if a person took out the Aveda, the garment, and he has two things in mind officially? He wants to have that garment outside for the sol koi, because he wants to have it out. Let's say it's a curtain, a carpet, something that he can use for himself. Let's say it's a curtain, and he wants to use it as a curtain, or he wants to use someone's dress as a curtain, as a improvised kind of curtain. So he has his own need, but you know what? It's really time anyhow for the dress to be aired out. He has two ideas in mind. Officially, he admits, I want to use this for myself, and also I want to take it out and air it out for the need of the garment. What would be the halacha? Now, before we continue, we have to see Tosfos. Tosfos has a question. The second Tosfos in the page, says Tosfos, letzolko v'letzolko mai. I'll preface the Tosfos by saying we lichoyer already saw such a case. Remember, in the Mishnah we saw what happens when you have a sefer. A sefer, you're allowed to take out the sefer in order to air it out and also read for yourself. So you see the double purpose, for the purpose of the object and the purpose of myself, for my own benefit, I'm allowed to. So why does the Gemara ask the question about the garment? Why shouldn't it be the same as the sefer? The sefer is okay to be double used, as we saw in the Mishnah. So why shouldn't we just copy and paste the same idea for the beged? Baruch Hashem. Says Tosfos, Davka b'shituach ksus miboilei, the kol dedamile, anything that's like the ksus, like the garment, or anything similar to that, that's when we have a question. Says Tosfos, the second Tosfos in the page. The shema inicheno shtucha yoisem k'dei tzoko ad sheiskalkel. Sometimes you may leave the garment outside for too long until it goes bad. Sometimes to be on the outside, it gets dirty, the sun hits it. Sometimes because it's your own need and you have your own interest, you may forget yourself and leave it outside for too long. And that will be to the detriment of the beged. Aval besefer, as opposed to sefer, amrinan de koiro behen, afal gav de lotzolko hu kmo itzolko. Over there, we say that in a sefer, you are allowed to take out the sefer, the Megillah, roll it out, and reading it, and it's double purpose. We're not concerned, maybe you'll overuse the sefer. Why not? Maybe I'll leave the sefer for too long outside until the kids start playing with it. Same thing. Why aren't we concerned by a Megillah also? And says Tosfos, there is no concern whatsoever with the sefer. Why not? Because by sefer we're very strict, and it says you can only leave it once every 12 months or once every 3 months. In mainly, you know that there is a certain period of time, I don't know for how long, maybe a day or two, you're allowed to take it out once a year or once every 3 months. So it's very clear and very, defined when you can take it out, when you don't. There is no chashash you'll overstay the welcome. Continues Tosfos, velo yilmod boy batchila, right? And also we have another restriction. Don't read the sefer if it's your first time read, because first time you read the sefer, you're more excited. You may get, pull the parchment. And also, you're not allowed to read and read again. Only read once. Only read once. How many times can you read the same Novi Yirmiyahu? I'm saying, so Mimela, over there, the Mishnah already had those built-in restrictions. I know that my use of the chayfetz is very limited, as opposed to over here, when we say a beged had no restrictions. Interestingly enough, I don't know why, but beged had no restrictions. Mimela, now the Gemara comes and says, wait a second. A beged, did you take out the garment? Because it's not so defined, do this and do. There's no clear list of do's and don'ts, and Mimela, we don't know. And we say, wait, maybe if he officially says it's for both the beggar and myself, don't take it out. Because if you use it for yourself, you may, lose your head over it. What a beautiful curtain. You're gonna start, geisel it a little bit. And that's why the question is all regarding a garment. So really it's like Exer de Rabbanon, where Rabbanon geyser, not use it for yourself and for the beged, because maybe you'll come to abuse it. Toshma, sorry. Toshma, we're in the third line. We're in the third line in the page. Toshma, come and listen to the Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah, Shoitcho letzorko, Shoitcho letzorko. I don't know what's going on here. This is really disturbing. Shoitcho letzorko. The Mishnah says the shoitcho. No, there's a technical problem here with the Zoom again. Shoitcho letzorko. It says in the Mishnah, you may spread out the garment for its need of the garment. So what should we be medaik from there? Letzorko in, only for the need of the beged. That is to say, letzorko v'letzorko loy. But if it's both for the person and the beged, you're not allowed to use it. Okay? So from the Mishnah, it sounds like only when I'm altruistic and I only use it for the beged, only then only for the beged I'm allowed to spread it out. Ema seifa, but look at the end of the Mishnah, the next line. Avaloy lichvoy doi. And then the Mishnah says, don't do it for your own glory or your own use, for your own purpose. Somebody wants to be mechubed, have a nice, beautiful curtain in his house, every once in a while. Don't do it for your own purpose. What can we be medaik from there? Just the opposite. Only for himself he should not use it. That is to say, shapir dami. It's a classical steer b'diukim, which means if you read in the Reisha seems to be saying what? Only for the need of the beged. But you should use it. But if it's both for both me and it, don't use it. But then the Sefer says, don't use it for yourself. That is to say that the middle of case of both me and the beged, mashma, that I am allowed to. So what's going on? Right? Ella, that is to say, meho lekal mashma mino. From our Mishnah, you cannot derive anything. In other words, our Mishnah, we had a very, very similar style structure of Mishnah when we spoke about the banker not so long ago. Remember finding money, by the shulchani, by the bureau de change, by the money changer. If you find it right in the chanut, it's okay. If you find it behind the counter, then don't take it. And there was this contradiction. What will you do if you found it on the counter itself? Says the Gemara, that Mishnah is not Meduik Mishnah. Some Mishnahs are not exact because they were taught in order to chant. So our Mishnah cannot give you any sources. Let's look for another source. We remain at the moment in the question, sourceless. What would be the case if you use it for both you and the beged? Toshma, Toshma, another brisa that we try to bring a proof from. Lo ishtachena, lo al gabi mita, velo al gabi mogoid, le so koi. Don't spread the item, the garment, over the bed, and not by the magod on a hook for your own need. Let's so koi, for the need of the finder. Aval ishtechena al gabi mita, but you're allowed to spread it out al gabi mita over the bed, al gabi magod over the hook. Let's all ko. You're only allowed to use it for the tzorka, for the item, not for yourself. So far, we don't know anything. Still, however, here comes big news. Nizdamnu lo orchim. Nizdamnu lo orchim. What happens if somebody has guests and he wants to impress the Jones? He wants to impress the Smiths, he wants to impress the Mechutonim, to impress the, I don't know who, the rabbi, I don't know, the rich guy, what? The Goldbergs, yeah, right, because he's Jewish, I forgot. Yeah, Tim McKenzie. So now he has guests and he wants to show them, look at them, a beautiful curtain. Yeah. Lo yishtechena, lo gabe mita, velo gabe magoid, ben letzol koi, ben letzol ko. There you are. You see that over there, even if I'm sincere and I say, listen, darling, now is the every once in a while. Remember, the Goldbergs are coming, and I want to look nice in their eyes, and they should think that I'm rich and choshuv, and what? And now, let's now take out the fancy carpet or the fancy curtain, because anyhow, it's time for the curtain to be aired out. So I'm okay. I'm using it for both myself and to look nice for the Jones. I also use it for myself and also for the garment. And you see, you're not allowed to. Don't do it then. If the Jones are coming, if the Goldbergs are coming, and you're trying to impress the neighbors with that, that don't use it, even if even if it's for the purpose of the beged. Why? Because automatically it's dual purpose. So you see that it's not allowed. It's the list of both, and you see it's not allowed. No, there you are. Says the Gemara. There's no proof from there either. Shiny hosam over there, it's different. The mikla kalilo, by showing it to the neighbors, you're burning it. Mikla in Aramaic means to burn, like kalui in Hebrew is roasted. Yeah, mikla, you're burning it. Why are you burning it? The neighbors are going to look at it. The Goldbergs and the Smith are going to look at it. Imishum eina, imishum ganvi. Ay, 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 ay. When you show your very fancy, or not exactly your, when you show the very fancy item to the Goldbergs, eina, either they'll put ein hora. The guests would be, dafka put ein hora in it, so you're burning it with their ein, with their ein ra. Imishum ganvi, you don't know, but Goldberg and Smith are not such honest people. They're thieves. They may steal it. You never know. They may come and maybe a big curtain would be hard, but if it's like a nice little tablecloth, he has some very fancy, tablecloth, not his. He spreads it out. What's going to be? Maybe one of the neighbors will nick it. They'll nick it, right? And that's a chash. So that's why over there you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that because the urchim, the guests, may mamish be mazik. But therefore, we do not have a source regarding a regular case of letzolko v'letzolko. Because let's say neighbors are not there. Let's say my wife and I have a nice meal, stam, a nice meal of a malka together, a nice, tete-a-tete meal. Nobody's around, and I want to spread out the nice garment with a plastic on top, okay? So it's not going to get dirty. It's fine meat. It's also for the need of the tablecloth not to be crumbled and stink over there. So Mimela, in the case of Ganvi, in the case of Tzorko without guests being in the area around, we still don't know. We didn't figure it out because when you have guests, it's worse because of Ein Hara or because of theft. I want to tell you something unbelievable about Ein Hara, and then I'll listen to you, okay? Or you go first, yeah. You go first. You go, boss, yeah. My cousin was very, very close to Reb Kanevsky. And very, very, very close. And Reb Kanevsky used to be Mechabedim and asked to bring him a chair. My wife's cousin, really. So my wife's aunt used to live in Ramat Shemesh. So my wife's cousin asked him once, his mother wants to know if she has Ein Hara. She was sick, and this and that is Ein Hara. So Reb Chaim asked, where does she live? And he said, Bet Shemesh. So Reb Chaim Kanevsky said, in Bet Shemesh, there's no Ein Hara. He made a cheshbon something because maybe it's a Shevet Yosef or something like that, the Nachla, or I don't know if that's so. It's done, but maybe connected. I don't know why. But Reb Chaim Kanevsky, he said in Bet Shemesh, there's no Ein Hara. Say to all your wives. Okay, the Seder. What do you mean? When he was alive? Why? I mean, he was protecting. He says in reality, there's no Ein Hara in Bet Shemesh. Yalla, let's all wear fancy clothing. Okay, weiter. Right. Let's all buy new shiny cars. Okay, weiter. Toshma. Now we're going to compare the idea of dual purpose in Aveda to another area in Torah where you also have an issue of dual purpose. And that is, we either talk about Egla Arufa or Para Aduma. Need to explain? Egla Arufa, yeah. The one you behead in the Nachal, the Egla Arufa, you're not supposed to have the Egla Arufa working, neither Egla Arufa or Para Aduma, the red heifer or the Egla Arufa, both of them, you're not supposed to have any work done with them up until the point that they're used, either Arifa or until you shech the Para Aduma. Ichnisa leRavka or leRivka. Let's say there's a baby cow, a calf, an egla, yeah, and now it's sucking. It's still nursing from the mother. Ichnisa leRavka v'dasha. What happens if the baby cow was brought to Rivka or Ravka? Is basically a group of 3 or 4 cows that are together under one yoke or lavdavka yoke. They're together in their work team. They're working together as a team. One of the nursing mothers has a baby. That baby is an egla, which will be a rufa one day, we hope, or a pora aduma. And now that animal is dasha, is threshing, doing work automatically, I would say like psik resha, because it's walking together with the other big girls, with the big animals, including the mother of the baby, yeah? And together they walk and dasha, and that animal inadvertently the baby, which should not be working, is working. It's threshing as it's walking along. Because threshing is just walking over the thing, the tvua. Shera, it's still kosher to be used as paradum egla rufa. Why is it kosher? Because really, it sounds like you had no kavana that it should do disha. You don't want it to thresh. All you want to do is just what? For it to eat from the mother. However, bishvil shetinak v'todush. Let's say you had two ideas in mind. You want the baby to. I'm sorry, no, it's a computer. It's insane. You want the baby tinak v'todush. You want the baby to nurse and also to thresh. You do want it to work, but you also want it to nurse from the mother. It's nursing as it's walking. Yeah. Then psula. Then it's possible. You have a good purpose in mind and a bad purpose in mind. To be very clear, it's possible. Oh, look at that. Says the Gemara. You see over here the lotzol koi, the lotzol kohu. Very similar to us. There's a purpose of what? One purpose is for the cow. You want the baby cow to eat, and of course the baby should eat, should suck from the mother. The lotzol ko, but you also want your own tzol koi. You want it to do work for you. The ktani psula. So you see that it's possible. You see that it's not. It's possible means that it's disqualified. You see. So also over here, if you have two purposes in mind, good and bad, we go by the bad and we say it's possible. So don't take out the garment to show, not to show, to use for yourself and also for the garment. And says the Gemara, no. Shiny hosom. Don't bring a proof from the Paraduma. Why? It says over there, actually, Begla Rufa, Ashaloi ubad bo mikol mokoim. It says in the pasuk, special pasuk that says Asher loy ubad bo. Extra words over there to tell me the cow did not have any work done with it, which means even though you also have the cow's well-being purpose to eat, but as long as you also want the cow to thresh, you also want the idea of the cow to work, then it's already bad. As opposed to by us, remember, by us is no Isser Doraisa, right? To use the garment for myself and for the garment, Tosa says maybe a gzera, maybe Rabbanon or Geyser, don't do that, lest you come to overstay your welcome, use it too much for yourself. You lose yourself and when you leave it there for too long. Oh, but that's nothing to do with that. There's especially a Sodoraisa, yeah? And therefore, maybe you can say Rabbanon were also Geyser, but Shenkin over here, there's no Sodoraisa B'chlal. And Rabbanon were not Geyser either. On both, that's Maram Shif says. Okay? Yes, Mashenkin here there isn't, so you don't know. So maybe over here it's mutter. Don't say just like over there, it's also the same thing over here, it's mutter. Don't compare. Over there, there's a clear Yisod loy ubad ba mikol makom. Any shape or form of work, the animal did work. Treif, it worked. It worked. It's not in koilel. So then what? So now it's treif because na'egla rufa Mashenkin by us. We don't see a posuk with a specific super iser. Correct the Gemara iochi. You think that any kind of work treifed up the animal? Not treifed up. I mean, disqualified it from Pora Aduma. I feel a Reisha Nami. So even in the Reisha, where my only purpose was for the animal to eat, but I knew that it's going to thresh. That's a psik Reisha, right? So you knew it's going to happen. Are you allowed to open your fridge on Shabbos knowing that the light will be turned on? No. Classical psik Reisha. So here too, Reisha here, the beginning of the story, when my only purpose is for animal to suck from the mother, but I know it's going to step over my grains, so why is that allowed? Answers the Gemara, haloidamia. No. That loidamia elaleho. That case should be similar to another case of egla rufa or poraduma. It says, now one thing about egla rufa is what? And I think both of them, lo oleha oil. Lo olo oleha oil. She's not allowed to lo olo oleha oil. The animal is not allowed to have a yoke over its head. Yeah, in other words, anything or almost anything was on the animal and you're happy about it for work, for something, as we'll see later, that disqualifies it. And look what it says. Shochan, where does it say that? Okay, 1 second. Where's this Mishnah? That Mishnah we're about to read is, okay, I don't know. Weiter. It's not. It says, Shochan alea oif sheira. Let's say a bird came and rested on the back of the cow. They do that a lot, yeah? Let's in nature, yeah? Let's say a bird came and stood on the cow's back. It's kosher, even though we said nothing should be lying on the back of the animal. But the oif, the bird, I didn't invite it. I don't care about the oif being there. And although inadvertently something was on its back, but it was absolutely not my will. I'm not marviach anything, but dove or by that stalk standing on the neck, bichlal. Therefore, the animal is kosher. Here lies the answer, by the way, which I'll tell you later. Oh, that's what you said yesterday, Ellen. Let's say a male came on top of the female, you know why. Then I have some gain from that because Mazel Tov, soon it's a baby. Bais Neman B'Yisrael. Let's dance a chasana. Yeah, soon Shalom Zacher, Bris. In other words, because the owner of the cow is happy or he's gaining something physical from that, that there's a baby over there involved, the male psula, it's disqualified. My timer, what's the difference? Again, but you get the picture here. You actually know the answer already by now. Again, in the case of the Shem, please. In the case of, in the case of the bird that landed on it, physically, yes, there's something on its back, but do I have any interest in it? No. As opposed to Shabbos where you have Psik Resha, the Egel Aruf and Torah Duma, there is no Psik Resha. If my only purpose is I have absolutely no gain, no kavana, no rotzon, no nothing with the either the yoke on top of its head or the animal threshing. I don't want the animal to thresh. I just want it to suck. As she is suckling from the mother, she's nursing from the mother, she's walking along. I'm not interested in that. I have enough workforce. In that case, you say it's kosher. Masha'en can. When I want both good purpose and bad purpose, which is in two places. In the case of the one threshing, I wanted to nurse from mommy, and I do want it to thresh. I need her to thresh. You have good purpose, bad purpose, bad. And also with a male, then when I say, listen, it came by itself. I didn't invite the male to come. He jumped over her. They're already been dating 3 times. And then what? Come sit with us. Then what? Then we're recording commercial. Then thank you very much. Then okay, where was I? When you have the male, when the zachar is on top of the nekeva, the male and the female, then there are two. Then you're happy about it. In other words, you gain something, even though you didn't bring it. Then it's possible. Just like over here in the case of the threshing girl, when I want her to suck from mommy and also to thresh, then it's also. How do we know? How do we know that? The Omar of Papa, my time. And why is that? Kedar of Papa. Line starts with the word de Omar of Papa. Line starts with the word de Omar of Papa. The Omar of Papa says of Papa. Iksiv ubad. Oh, Hebrew class. That's your ulpan for the day. I'm sure you know about passive voice and what do you say? Active, not active. No, there's another word in grammar in English actually. Yeah, in other words, there's I do and there's something done to me. Like to do is active, done to is passive. Yeah, iksiv ubad. The word ubad means done to it. Yeah, iksiv ubad. If it would have said in the Torah ubad v'karinan ubad, if the word ubad done to it or done by it would have been both written and pronounced, as we all know very well. Some words in the Torah are written one way and pronounced differently. However, this one is middle of the road. Had it been said in the Torah ubad, both in writing and in pronunciation, avamina, I would have said afilu mimele. Then I would have said psik resha. Anything done by the animal automatically or done to the animal automatically is author. Yeah, without my kavana, there was a bird in it, disqualified. The animal thrashed without author. Ubad, done automatically. Done means by itself, it was just done. The iksiv ovad, the karinan ovad. Had the Torah used active, there's another better fancy word. Had the Torah used active voice, active tense, and say did, the animal did, and it would be both written vekarinan and read pronounced that way. Avamina ad de ovad bo ihu. I would have said it's only if the bailim, the master, actually worked with the animal. My havimin would have been that it's only possible if the animal worked with me, like they do today in the backward countries. You see the person works with the machresha, with the plow. The person and the animal together, he pushes the animal by the plow. I would have said, or only if he placed the yoke on its back, or he placed the male on the female. Yeah, only then would be osir. Hashta, however, now we're in the middle of the road. Yeah, we're here in a bit of a conundrum. The Ktiv Avad, the way it's written in the Torah is called Ktiv Chaser, meaning without the vowels, as you would call it in English. Ein Beis Daled would normally be pronounced Avad, which means did. The person has to actually do it himself with the animal, the work or the yoke. The Karinan Ubad, however, the way it's pronounced when you read, when you hear the Kriyas HaTorah, yeah, in there in Parshas Kiseitze there, it says Ubad, done to it. But in an Ubad Dumya de Ovad, we found a healthy middle, and we say, you know, when the animal is disqualified, when it's done automatically by the animal, but it's as if as I did it myself. What do you mean? Ma ovad denichale afubad denichale, which means just like when I do work, if he's a sane person and not working by force of somebody else, avad means your own will, your own volition, right? If you work with the animal avad, but the pure sense of avad means you do the work with your own rotzon, with your kavanah, your intention, your purpose, right? So we need an ubad that's similar to avad, which means even if the animal works by itself, without my physical intervention, or the animal had a yoke or a boy on top of it, a male on top of it, without my intervention, but it has to be like avad. It has to be with my will, which means if the bird lies on it, Stam sits on it, it happened by itself, and I'm not interested. So it's just ubad without avad. It's not similar to my work, my did whatsoever. Who cares if some stupid stalker, stork came and sat on it or not? Machpatli, yeah, doesn't help. If the male was on it, oh, it happened by itself. It's ubad, but it's like about because I'm saying, oh, I'm already planning how I'm going to sell the next baby that will come, right? I'm imagining dollars in the womb of the animal, and the same thing with the threshing. What happens with the animal that's working? Again, if it's working without my wish, without my interest, then it's done by itself. The animal works by itself without my intervention and without my will. Yes, so it's ubad without avad. Pashenkin, if I'm very happy, oh, good girl, she's a baby, she's a suckling, and she's already working well. Yeah, go girl, go work for me. Then, although I'm not doing it physically, I didn't touch it, but I'm interested in it in my mind. Oh, that's ubad, that's avad style, like avad, and then it's disqualified. But Lemaisa, don't keep your eyes on the ball. Lemaisa, what do we say? Lemaisa, we do not yet have a proof regarding what? Regarding if I can take not mine, if I can take my friend's Aveda that I'm looking after, am I allowed to take it out from my purpose and the purpose of the garment both together? Then we say, no, we don't know. Not no, Osir. No, we didn't find the source. We didn't yet find the source. Okay. Okay, questions? Yeah, Ellen was quick on the draw today. Yeah. Right. Yeah. What did we say in the Mishnah? That clay kesef, that silverware, that's items made out of silver. The clay nechoishes, that's copper ware. Yeah, things from copper. Mishtamish ben. You're allowed to use them again. You're allowed to use them how? You're allowed to use them if the purpose is for both you and them. Why do you have to bichlal take them out of their hiding place? Because you keep them in the ground. You keep them in the ground, it can start in weight safe for them. In a way, it can start corroding, and therefore you take them out. I made a mistake yesterday, people. I told you clay zahov, the golden ones, don't have to be in the ground. Mechavusa corrected me. No, Rashi says they have to be in the ground. The gold kalim, but they don't. Nothing bad happens to them. They're less sensitive at the end of the day. The clay kesef, they tend to get black all the time. We all have silverware, right? Or silver candles. The gold ones are not. Gold originally is a much, it's almost liquid in nature. But once gold is produced, the way we know gold nowadays, it's doesn't oxidize. Right. Golden is one that doesn't. That's why there are women who can only wear gold also because it's better with the skin. That I know. Yeah. Copper rust, copper oxidized, and that's what we're talking. Copper or silver, you have to make sure it doesn't oxidize. You have to take it out and air and clean. What? Okay. So maybe gold was just an example for something that doesn't oxidize. Okay. Oh, okay, okay. Thank you for the share. Yes, question time. What? Yes, yes, I guess so. Yeah. Tonobonon. Our rabbis taught. What about if you found something not so glamorous? You found something made out of wood, yeah, wooden something, wooden cup, wooden spoon. Mishtamish behen b'shvil shelo yirakvu. You're allowed to use them. Doesn't say how often, so they don't rot. The clay etz, eventually maybe worms can come. You leave it in the corner for like 10 years. You don't know, it's going to rot, go bad. Clay nechoshes. What about the clay nechoshes? Again, copperware. Mishtamish ben bechamin. You're allowed to use them with hot water. You're allowed to pour hot water. Yitzchak, tomorrow you're bringing me a nechoshes, yeah? You can pour hot water in it. Says Rashi, and kol sheken cold, hot and let alone, and needless to say, cold water. Don't put it straight on the fire. If you have a hub, you know what's a hub? It's a stove top. A hob. Yeah, a hob, a hob. You have a stove top with fire, the Israeli way. So you have a nechoishes of your that you found in the market somewhere. Don't put the clean nechoishes straight on the fire, because it causes like a corrosion. It can start burning a bit. It destroys it eventually. Clay kesef. Now, what about the silverware? You found a nice silver cup, a kiddush becher, and you announced it. But for now, it's by you, and you want to maintain it and take it out. You're allowed to use it for cold wine or cold water. Don't use it with hot water, the silverware, and that causes it to blacken. Yeah, even worse than it is already. You use it for hot water, then it causes even more, to blacken even worse. Magrefos the kardumois. Magrefos, as opposed to modern Hebrew, magrefa does mean a rake. No, here it's not a rake. Magrefa here is more like a big fork. It's a fork used for food, like a bigger one. The cardumos are like hammers. What? X's. Shovel, it says magrefa. Look, Rashi says, excuse me, Rashi says magrefa, asuin ligroif hakirois, or lafrish te'enim amudubokim. It's either for, yes, you can rake the kira, the stove with it, or you're right, or what's his name, or the te'enim. You have, no, a few figs stuck together and you separate the figs. I don't know, that's a shovel. It's more like a kitchen thing. Fireplaces, and also for the figs. To separate figs that are hard. Exactly. Right. Okay. Very good. So now the kaldumois, that's like a hammer, like an axe. Mishtamish ben berach. It's not an axe used for cutting wood. It's something finer, more for like kitchen use, like a kitchen knife. You're allowed to use them for soft things. Avaloi bekoshe. Don't use them for hard things. You have your butter knife. Don't use it to cut wood. Mipnei shemafchitan. It causes it again to erode, to become less. Goldware or glass. Glass items. Lo yiga behen ad she'over. Don't touch them until the comes. Why? A clay zov are very well maintained. As you said, clay zov is stronger, doesn't oxidize, doesn't anything. Leave the clay zov alone. If you don't have to maintain it, don't covet it, don't use it for yourself. Leave it in the cupboard until she'over Eliyahu, until the Novi comes. And by the way, all of Vedas, you should know, I don't know how much I stressed it, and a Veda, eventually, after a whole year, 3 regolim, after you announced it and nobody came, what do you do with it? You're never allowed to use it. That's halacha l'maisa. You have an Aveda in your house, yeah, that Aveda that's stuck in the back room for I don't know how long, and every once in a while you take it to air it out. So what about that? You leave it until Eliyahu comes, until you don't have to announce it for life. It sounds like there's a limit, but you hope a person comes, you cannot use it, you leave it in the corner, you leave it for your children, Yerusha. They should also look after it, don't own it. Kederech shomru ba'aveda, kach omru bepikodoin. The same way they speak about an Aveda, meaning just like in Aveda, they said you're supposed to take it out, maintain it, and therefore you can sometimes use it as you maintain it. You get the bonus of using it as you go along, at least by Kalim and by Sforim. Then the same thing applies to Pikodon. Something deposited, something by you, you're supposed to look after it and take it out of the cupboard and air it and clean it, and therefore you can also use it a little bit. Pikodon, what does it do by him? Oh, that question is double layered. There are two levels and two explanations actually to that question. Yesterday we explained, and that's what some Rishonim say. I was right. That was yesterday. We said Pikodon. Who allowed you to touch the Pikodon? It's a pikodon. What? It's a sur. You can't use someone else's pikodon. Over here, Rashi asks, and some Rishonim already said it in the previous Amud, a pikodon is opposed to a Veda, the Bailim knows where it is, right? The Bailim know, the Bailim of the pikodon, from some reason they don't have room at home. I give them my machsan services, my storage room services, and but why don't they come and do it for me? Yeah, for themselves. Why am I the one who's mechuyev to be, excuse my Hebrew, the friar, to be the one who's taking care of it? Pikodon, I mean, I could say otherwise, but more here understands. Pikodon, part of my Pikodon service is not to start looking after your item. You come to my house from wherever you are, from 2 streets away, from one town away, and air it out and do everything, and therefore I will not use it either. I'm not going to maintain it and not use it. You should maintain it. You should come to my house every 3 months, every year, and take care of your Sefer Torah, of your things, of your Klei Zchuchos, and finished. Amar Vada Bar Chama Amar Rav Sheshes, he answers, we're talking here about a pikodon whose owner went to Chul. He went abroad, he went overseas, Medina Sayam overseas, which means if the owner is really nearby, is in within a travel distance, let the owner take care of his items. I shall not take care of it. And also, don't let my Yetzirah kick in and say, maintain it and also use it at the same time. I'd like to have some nice, silver becher every once in a while. So maybe maintain it and also use it. You can say that by Aveda. If you're really honest, use it. Yeah, use it for the Aveda and for yourself at the same time. Take the piggyback. But she'enken, if the person is around, yeah, and he knows where it is, and he's not in Chutz La'aretz, then what? Let the guy do it himself. Let him come, the owner. He'll take care of it. Say goodbye and finished. And that's part of my service to allow him to come to my house to maintain his object, to take care of the upkeep of the object. And what about if you went to Chutz La'aretz? You can't fly every second, and back then it was even harder. And therefore, you're supposed to be the one taking care of it, and you're also allowed to benefit by using it. It's a very, very, very good question. I'll send a note to your wife. You're asking a good question. Is the shomer that we assume that shomer is the shomer that does not have to take care of the item, he expects the owner to take care of the item, is a shomer chinam, a shomer sochar? I'll tell you, I don't know, I haven't seen anything here, and I admit that today I came here unprepared. I'm sorry. The only thing I can tell you is when the Rishonim explain why should it be the responsibility of the owner and not the keeper, they say if the owner doesn't care about it, if the owner doesn't show that he comes to look after it, it's as if he's ma'abed biyadayim. It's as if he was mafkirit. If I show that I don't care about my chayfetz, I put it in the street on purpose, in a very haphazard way. Oh, remember the chaviyos yain? If somebody opens the chavis yain, a wine barrel, and leaves it open for all the shkotzim, all the bugs and all the dirt to come in, I'm allowed to take it because it's hefker. He behaves in a hefkerdik way. So if the Bailim doesn't come to maintain it and just doesn't care about it at all, doesn't even pick up the phone, says, how is my darling shoes, whatever, then what? Then it shows that I don't have to take care of it either. So I assume even Shomer Sochar. That's what I think. Yeah, because it shows lack of care from the side of the owner. So even though I'm paid, I could still claim, I think so. I'm paid to look after it very well, right? To the level above Bnei Bava Veda, I have to put an extra lock in my house. I have to put it in a safe. I'm a Shomer Sochar. I'm a very serious boy. It does not necessarily mean that my Shmira Sochar includes maintaining every once in a while if you just don't seem to care about it at all. Unless, of course, it's specified. If both parties said, you look after it and I give you money, and please take it out every 3 months, and of course you have to. Otherwise, my feeling is even a Shomer Sochar would not have to maintain it unless told. Kach nearly. I didn't see it anywhere, but that's the picture I get from what I have seen yesterday. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Questions are very welcome. We're in the last narrow line. We're quoting the end of the Mishnah now. The end of the Mishnah said, if a person found a sack and sack are the same word in Hebrew and English, or kupa, shel tzedakah. No, he found a big sack, a big box in the street, yeah. Any item that he, for his own sake, had it been his own kupa or his own sack, he would not have schlepped it in the street because it's below his dignity. Oh, that I do know because Macharusa told me. What happens if the person is Rosh Yeshiva? He's a choshev guy because of Kovod the Torah. The Torah, he's really a scholar, Talmid Chacham, and behaves accordingly, right? Says the Mishnah, Harei ze lo yitol, if that Rosh Hashiva wouldn't have done it for himself because he behaves with Kovod of the Torah, so too he's potter and exempt from doing it to other people as well. What's Machlekes? There's another opinion. What happens if the person is not a Talmid Chacham? He is, excuse the relevance, being now very relevant to the events today. He's a Chaver Knesset. Oh, he was elected to the coalition. Psh, he's now in the coalition and he feels very good about himself. And he tells his wife, from now on, I'm not taking the garbage. And from now on, I'm not taking any big bags, even if they were contain gold. Now I have my, how do you say, Ozer Parlamentari. I have my, my right-hand man, my bodyguard. He's gonna take the garbage or any other item or suitcase. I don't carry suitcases myself, right? That's it. I'm done. I'm a Chaver Knesset now. I'm in the government. And therefore what? And therefore, is he also exempt for if he found an Aveda to return? Machlokes. I don't remember who says what, but there's a discussion about it. But everyone agrees that if it's real cover, the cover of the Torah, and that Talmid Chacham doesn't carry things by himself for himself, if they're big and bulky and funny or whatever, the smell or something, he's potter from dealing with other people's items as well. Minani mili, frag the Gemara, how do you know that? That's quite a chiddush. How do you know that? Answers the Gemara, the Ton Rabbanan, this alamta. This alamta is a very tricky word here. This alamta means, it says loy tire, don't look at your friend's items, this alamta mehem, and ignore them. So if you read the entire pasuk, this alamta, which means ignore, it says don't and ignore it. Don't alamaisa. If you only read the word vit alamta as of itself, then it's imperative. The his alamta you should ignore. Yeah. In other words, the Torah could have said loitis alem. It doesn't. Dikduk-wise, syntax-wise, the syntax could have been, don't ignore your friend's cow or sheep that are in the street. The Torah chose a very tricky red herring kind of syntax. Don't look at this and that of your friend and ignore them. The whole sentence means don't ignore. But if you focus only in one word, it says do ignore. So it's really giving you both messages. Very good. The Torah gives you both messages in one. Sometimes you do ignore and you can just pass by your friend's Aveda, ignore it on purpose and just continue on, go on. And sometimes you're not supposed to ignore and it's an Avera and it's a love and it's a prohibition to ignore. Haketzad, well, when does that apply and when does the other apply? Three cases. Let's say the guy's a Kohen and he walks near Basic Forest, but not too near. He walks close by, in Sanhedria, Basic Forest, and he sees behind the fence a nice Aveda. He sees someone's cow running around there. He sees someone's golden suitcase over there. He sees something over there. He's a Kohen. Can a Kohen enter Basic Forest in order to retrieve the Aveda? No. That's what the Torah is coming to tell me. Yeah, even if you're a Kohen and there's an Aveda there, don't come in to take it out. Oh, that's our guy. The person is, now Zaken doesn't necessarily mean old. What does it mean? It means a Talmid Chacham. He's a big Talmid Chacham. He's respected. It's below his dignity to carry it. Oi, a third case. His work is worth more than his friend's Aveda. Let's say you see a 100 shekel note in the street with a siman. Not a good example. You see something worth 100 shekels. You see, I don't know, some chicken. No, seriously, fresh chicken in an island thing, still fresh and nice, with a siman. It says the siman in it, you cut like that. I'm bringing cases from before. And it says in it 100 shekels. That guy, he makes 500 shekels an hour. Yeah, lawyer, meeting, 500 shekels guy. If he'd spend 1 hour, he'd be losing 500 shekels in order to give his friend 100 shekels. At that happy note, the Torah says, no, you're not mechuyev to lose money on your friend's on your friend's expense or on your expense. Don't make your friend gain money on your own expense. Lekach ne'emar, for these three cases, it says v'salamta mehem. That's why I have to say v'salamta mehem, that those are the cases in which you have to or are allowed to, in the last case, Ignore your friend's Aveda. Now, you may ask a question, how can one word tell me three different things? But we don't have to come to that question because anyhow, the Gemara soon is going to delete two of the cases. We're going to rule out two of these cases. Frag the Gemara, wait a minute, wait a second, mister. You told me three cases, they all make a lot of sense, they're all easy and good. Why do you need a Torah? Why do you need a special pasuk in the Torah to tell me that? If you want to tell me that the Torah was Mechadesh, a Kohen, and a Veda is in basic Kvaras, and it's telling the Kohen, hey, Mr. Kohen, you're a Kohen, don't go to basic Kvaras. Shita, of course, the Torah doesn't have to tell me that in the word Visalamta. It says, Hai aseh, the Hai loy ta'aseh v'aseh, which means. Normally, before we continue, let me give you a small introduction. There are many times in every Jewish person's life that we have two, how shall I say, two spiritual ideas, two mitzvahs, two ideological ideas that just clash with each other, right? Many times, yeah, you do an avera on a cheshbon of a mitzvah cheshbon avera. There's extensive sugyas. In Yevomes, there's a big one. In Shabbos, a little bit. In Derek Sheni, the Gemara discusses, what should I do, Rabbi? If I, shall I, go take care of my mother and the cheshbon of learning, and all that. You can write, no, you can. There are very, very thick volumes written on it. The general rule is, aseh doche lo ta'aseh. A positive, generally speaking, with a lot of exceptions, a positive commandment pushes away a negative one. For example, Yavama, the Torah tells you, do marry your brother's wife, meaning almana, your dead brother's wife. Well, how's that called? Yibum? Oh, if not for Yibum, that would be an Isser Chorus. Isser Chorus. It'd be terrible Isser. The Torah says Yibum means you're allowed to be with her and marry her in order to become the Aseh on the expense, so to speak, of the Lot Aseh. Shatnez with tzitzis. The Torah says, tzitzis, Evenu tzitzis, look how nice, that tzitzis, can I take the tzitzis of wool and put it in linen item? Yes, I can. Surprise, yes, I can. That's why shatnez and tzitzis in one place in the Torah are, as you said, are scrollies juxtaposed, In other words, the Torah wants to tell you that sometimes, I'm careful, sometimes, or generally speaking, the positive commandment pushes away, wins over, trumps over the lo ta'aseh. Generally, okay? We're not going to all the million cases, and we can stay till tomorrow. That's not what the Gemara says here. I'm reading again the Gemara. What I told you was the introduction. Start with the word aseh, 3 lines from the bottom. I aseh, meaning over here, when the Kohen is right outside basic verse, scratching, his head, not knowing what to do. I'm a Kohen. That's also to go to basic verse. I was taught since I'm 0. But look, oy vavoy, Yankel Shmerel's golden suitcase is there. He's going to lose it. He's going to Chutz La'aretz. Oy. I have to take it. Rabbi, what do I do? You have to count the amounts of aseh versus lo ta'aseh on each side of the fence. Hi, aseh. There is a mitzvah aseh. The mitzvah aseh of Hashev Teshivem. Hashev Teshivem. It says in the Torah, why should you give back the Aveda? There's mitzvah aseh called what? Do return. It's a positive commandment. Do return it to your friend. The high, on the other hand, if the Kohen defiles himself, the Kohen becomes impure by going to basic forest, loy ta'aseh ve'aseh. Oh, there is loy ta'aseh and an aseh. Loy ta'aseh, there's a loy ta'aseh lenefesh lo yitamo. He should not become tomeh, and also kedoshim hiyu. There's an aseh. In other words, for a Kohen to go to basic forest right away as he goes in, there are 2 issues of aseh and lo ta'aseh. And the rule is the loy osi aseh v'dachi is lo ta'aseh v'aseh. And one aseh does not win over positive and negative. You got me? One positive wins over one negative. But one positive does not win over negative and positive. So right now the losing team is going to basic forest. No, he won't go to basic forest. And Chaim Yankos, he can give a call nowadays. If try and get other people to go in, try and help. Try and catch someone else and say, hey, I'm a Kohen. Can you help the guy with the suitcase? But you yourself, you're not allowed to go in there to give back the suitcase on the cow. And therefore, I don't need the pasuk to tell me that. Why is the Torah writing an extra word, vis alamta, to tell me Kohen bebesic varis? Kohen bebesic varis. I know from the general rule, which we learn from other places in the Torah of a not the two. And another question, which is now going to teach us a huge fundament. Oh, big one, big one, big one. We did not push away, we did not reject Isura, which means Isur is, generally speaking, Isur means prohibition, Ben Adam La Mokoim. Yeah? Ben Adam La Mokoim is not pushed away because of money, someone else's money, which means, who told me not to go into basic verse, Kodesh Baruch Hu? Who told me to return my friends of Veda? Oh, you can also Kodesh Baruch Hu. Yes, that's true. Let's say, I'll ask you a question. I'll ask you a question very sharp, and that I did prepare in my mind as I was learning my Chavrus. I said, how am I gonna describe it to you? I'll ask you a question. Let's say me, Akiva Ta'afta, let's say I decide to be a tzaddik, hopefully one day, and not possessive, and I don't care about money, Alavai. And I say, you know, people, listen, I'm making my door. I'm announcing to the entire world and his wife that if I ever lose anything, yeah, if you see anything of mine that I lose, Khalila this or that or the other, I'm making my door, don't return it to me. I'm moichel, I give in, I give up, and you don't have to return to me. Would that work? I think so. Let's say I tell you, listen, guys, I'm from Tel Aviv, I'm liberal, and you know, and I think from now on, everyone can eat chazer. It's okay with me if you eat chazer. Let's be a bit, you know, no. Yeah, well, how, is that okay? Can I say that? No. No, it's not up to me. That's what the Gemara is saying over here. When a person is going to base a kvaras, that's not negotiable. It's not flexible. Hashem says, don't do it. You return your friends of Veda because your friend is interested. Says the Torah, the Rishonim say, Mechavusa told me, the Rishonim say, here your friend is not supposed to be interested. My friend who wants my friend who wants his golden suitcase who's in the basic forest now has no right to demand as a one-on-one to demand of me to go and be over, I'm the Kohen, to go and be over an Isser for his monetary issues. My chiyuv towards him is only because he wants it. In this case, I hope he doesn't want it. And if he does, tough luck. In other words, the whole Bein Adam L'Chaver, Mammon is very choshev, Bein Adam L'Chaver is very important, and Mammon is important, but it's flexible, it's up to people. If I decide that Yitzchak and I can, I don't know, steal things from each other, it's not a theft, right? Whatever. No, I won't, don't worry. He's not so happy. In other words, it's flexible. Mimela, with Kohen the basic verse, it's Svara Pshuta, of course he won't go in. Because the owner of the suitcase, the owner of whatever is inside, has no right to demand. And if the person, the Balaveda, doesn't demand, there's no chiyuv b'chlal. Then a Kadosh Baruch Hu also is not telling me to go back and take the Aveda. Because the owner of the Aveda is not interested. Why isn't he interested? Because the owner of the Aveda is not supposed to tell me, Lifnei Iver, to go and do an Avera. So I don't need the Torah to tell me this alamta. It's partial to logic. Ela must be what? Okay. So we deleted one case. So one of the three cases which the Salamta is supposed to take care of, no. The Salamta does not have to tell me about Kohen basic verse for the two reasons we mentioned. We knew that very well before we read the word Salamta. Ela, let's go weiter. Let's go to the next case. Oh, what happens if I make 500 shekels an hour? The suitcase I found in the street is 100 shekels. I'm supposed to say, maybe you can call someone else. It quickly, as he's rushing to the law firm office, maybe you should try and make some calls. But it's not the chiyuv to start picking it up and going all over town yet to see who lost the chicken. No, I'm losing money more than you're gaining. Says the Gemara, I don't need the Torah. I need the Torah. I don't need the Posek V'Salamta to tell me that. Look, I have another source. This is a very, very famous Gemara, which you all know. The Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, nafka means it comes out. Yeah, we already learned it. We derive it from the words of Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. The Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, it says in the Torah, Efes. In other words, it says there about tzedakah. I'm not sure if the halva tzedakah. It says over there, give tzedakah, give halva, be nice, be generous, be charitable. But lo yeh b'cha evyon. Again, the simple word means the simple meaning of the words is lo yeh b'cha evyon. There should not be a poor person amongst you. Give tzedakah, give tzedakah, making sure that nobody around is poor. However, again, there's another layer here, and that is loya b'cha evyon. Make sure when you give tzedakah that you, yes, you, personal, yes, you, should not become poor by giving tzedakah. Shelcha kodim l'shel kol adam. You become very, very, soft-hearted, and you believe each and every tzedakah pamphlet that comes to your house, you're going to lose all your money. They'll all ask for 50 shekels times 12, and there are thousands of them. You'd lose all your money that way. In other words, you're not supposed to give tzedakah or hashavas aveda. Ellen, don't ask me now apples and oranges. I did expect the question because tzedakah and hashavas aveda and halva more or less they're all in the same wavelength, right? Don't spend too much money on your friend in a way that would cause you to lose money. Give meiser, give choimish, give even more if you can, but don't become poor. Don't lose your 500 shekels job an hour for taking care of the 100 shekel. So I have another source here already. So I don't need this alamta. So who's a survivor? So why did the Torah write his alamta to tell me that I sometimes ignore? And we'll finish here. The winner is Zoken and Elfik Boido. There is no other source besides that. The only source that tells me that a Choshev Rosh Yeshiva with a frock in Hamburg and a thing and a stoltz and is a Choshev guy and he would not carry his own heavy things, yet he should not carry his friends' things for Shabbos Aveda. The one and only source is Visalamta, and that survives. Thank you very much. It's for the mitzvahs. I'm sorry I wasn't well prepared. I hope to be able to give better, bigger shiur in the future. Thank you very much, and Hatzlacha Rabba to all, and good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Kol tov, Hatzlacha Rabba.